If anybody deserves blame for what happened on Tuesday, to me, it's the GOP establishment, it's Mitch McConnell, and it's those that did not put money in races where they were supposed to be putting money in.
And now to the midterms. While it looks like Republicans will take control of the House, the Senate still up for grabs, and it may not be decided at least until December. A political watcher and Salem radio host is here with us tonight. Welcome to Centerpoint, Grant Stinchfield. You also, I should say, have your own podcast.
I do.
It's called Stinchfield. And a familiar face, if you're, well, I know that face from somewhere. It's from Newsmax, where you used to work.
Absolutely. Doug, it's great to be with you.
Yeah, thanks very much for coming in. Just your general reaction to the lack of a red wave, shall we say.
So, early on I was calling, be very careful about this whole red wave craziness. I mean, I said, look, if we take the House, that's really all we need to do to stop Joe Biden's spending. And if we take the Senate, it's going to be a big bonus. Now, it looks like there's a real possibility that we could still take the Senate. And, well, you got a lot of the GOP establishment folks. You got a lot of the mainstream media attacking President Trump about Tuesday night. I think it is grossly unwarranted what they are doing to him. And I think they're actually trying to stoke the flames of a war between Trump and DeSantis for the sole purpose.
You think the Democrats are trying to do that?
No, I think the GOP establishment is trying to do that. And I think the GOP establishment does not like President Trump. They haven't liked him since he came down the escalator. And so this war that they're trying to stoke between DeSantis and President Trump is all about getting President Trump out of the way. If anybody deserves blame for what happened on Tuesday, to me, it's the GOP establishment, it's Mitch McConnell, and it's those that did not put money in races where they were supposed to be putting money in.
But how do you reconcile that with the poor showing of a lot of Trump-backed candidates in some of the higher-profile races?
Well, the GOP establishment didn't put money into those races, and they should have, because they didn't like those candidates because Trump had endorsed them. Mm-hmm. It's a real problem that the GOP has. Look, President Trump is still the leader of the Republican Party, whether anybody likes it or not, and there's an awful lot of people that really like it. We see that from his rallies. So he has a record, I think it's 219 victories with a 93% endorsement win rate, and yet they want to lay this at the feet of President Trump. And again, we're going to take the House. My assumption is we win the Senate, and we may win if we take Nevada and Arizona, and you win this in Georgia. Bottom line is we're 52-50. That's a pretty good night. And so if I'm a Republican, I would actually still remain optimistic, yet everybody's doom and gloom, and I don't think there's a reason to be doom and gloom right now.
That's really interesting, and I'm glad to have that perspective. I have a slightly different perspective. I live in Florida. I know how popular Ron DeSantis is, and for the president, the former president of the United States, to call him Ron DeSanctimonious, and then to lay it on even thicker a couple days later, saying he's got some sort of dirt on DeSantis, was a low blow, I say. And now, at the same time, it's vintage Trump, because he was later asked, who did you vote for? And he said, I voted for DeSantis.
Of course he did.
What do you know about Donald Trump that enables people to come back after they've been really hit hard by him?
Well, I think the first comment from President Trump was typical Trump. He was firing a warning shot across the bow, saying, hey, Ron, don't run here. I got this. Just stay back. And if you do, it's going to be a very, very tough fight, because President Trump is the big bully at the playground. You don't want to tussle with him.
Well, some people say you need to bring down the bully at the playground.
Well,
and they give up.
I would argue, instead of going to war with DeSantis, let's do Trump then DeSantis, not Trump versus DeSantis. And if you remember at that rally, President Trump endorsed Ron DeSantis later, but the mainstream media didn't play any of those clips of him endorsing Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis did something so great in Florida, and I love him, and I've said this. All Trump supporters love Ron DeSantis. It's an absolute fact. Everybody that loves Trump loves Ron DeSantis. Not all Ron DeSantis supporters love President Trump. In the end, DeSantis gets hurt a lot more if he goes to war with President Trump than President Trump does. And so I would say this, unify, coalesce around each other. President Trump goes 4 more years. You have Ron DeSantis run 4 years of governor. He's got 2 years then to run for president. Boy, what a 1-2. That's a conservative 1-2 punch from heaven, in my opinion. Trump, DeSantis, bingo.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I'm observing about this election is the constant mantra from the left of the right side of this country, the GOP, is the threat to democracy. You know, this constant repetition of January 6th and the insurrection. I always thought it was more of a hillbilly riot than an insurrection. I mean, how do you take over a government with sticks and flagpoles? I don't think there was any arrest for gun possession there.
There was not. There were no weapons there. And when you look at a guy in a beaver pelt and horns, that's the guy that's leading the takeover of the greatest government and country in the world. It seems a little silly to me. I went so far as to call it an unorganized tour of the Capitol. Now, there were.
I'm not going to be that generous.
There were some spots, obviously, where there was problems, but it's not what the left had blown it out to be. That's for sure.
Well, you mentioned the House is going to be in the next term the Republicans' Alamo against the Biden agenda. One of which is the issue of inflation. Here was President Biden yesterday talking about inflation and what he plans to do about it.
What can you promise concretely in these next 2 years that will help turn the pocketbook for the better in the midst of staving off a recession?
I can't guarantee that we're going to be able to get rid of inflation, but I do think we can.
Well, I'm going to guarantee with Joe Biden at the helm, there's no way you get rid of inflation. One, it starts with his energy policy. You unleash our energy resources, you bring the cost of everything down. Now, by winning the House with the Republicans, by all accounts, they can stop some of the spending. And the spending is a large driver of why we're seeing this inflation. Government spending has gotten so out of control in Washington, at least with the Republicans at the helm now. You're going to stop some of that spending. But until he gets us back drilling again, until he allows some of these pipelines, when oil is reaching record numbers, everything is going to cost more.
Milton Friedman, the Nobel Prize-winning economist, my favorite economist of all
Mine
time,
too.
said there is only one cause of inflation. It's excess government spending.
Yeah.
There's another issue I want you to address here. Certainly, the House is going to be investigating son Hunter Biden and some of his business dealings overseas. Again, the President of the United States.
What's your message to Republicans who are considering investigating your family, and particularly your son Hunter's business dealings?
Lots of luck in your senior year, as my coach used to say.
Well, my basketball coach used to say good things happen to good people. The Bidens are not good people. This is not going to go well for them. And Hunter Biden is, I believe, they're criminal in nature with what they've done there. The evidence certainly seems to suggest that. The mainstream media continues to cover it up. We've never had a real meaningful investigation into what's happening with the Bidens. So it's a shame in many respects that Congress has become an investigative body, like a law enforcement agency. But when you have a Justice Department under first Obama and then under Biden that has been weaponized, literally weaponized against conservatives, and ignores the wrongdoing of those on the left, what else is Congress supposed to do? It's become a tit-for-tat deal. Whoever is in control, we're going to investigate the other side. I'm not sure that's how government is supposed to be run. But from the Republican standpoint, what other choice do we have? Nobody else is investigating the Bidens, and I believe Joe Biden is the greatest national security risk we have in this country with him at the helm because of Hunter Biden. Strong
statement. One thing I do know about any Hunter Biden hearings, which we may look forward to, is that they're going to be fascinating. There's going to be stuff revealed that we have not heard before. And the second factor is look for very little coverage from MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, NPR. I could go on and on and on.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sad reality. Look, what do we see? The polls had said if the Hunter Biden story was out before the 2020 election, there was a large percentage of people that said they wouldn't have voted for Joe Biden. But they buried that. The FBI was cooperating, talking about a weaponized Justice Department. The FBI cooperating with big tech to bury these stories. These are legitimate stories. Whether they're true, whether they're not, we have a right to ask the questions and get to the bottom of it. And the left, the media working with them, did not allow that to happen.
Hi, I'm Doug McKelway, and thank you for watching Centerpoint. We hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Leave a comment below and keep the conversation going by sharing this video with a friend who needs to see it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.